Welcome back to another RPGaDAY 2016 video. Just a quick one for question 21, which is, what is the funniest misinterpretation of a rule in your group? Now, the funniest misinterpretation I can think of goes back to a fair few years ago now, when I was running a lot of World of Darkness games. I don't tend to play in them so much now, but I'm hoping to maybe get back into them a bit in the future. But pretty much World of Darkness in its various iterations was my go-to game back in the day. Now, the misinterpretation of the rule in question was when I was running a Tremere based game. For those of you who don't know, the Tremere are a very secretive clan of vampiric wizards distrusted by the other kindred, the other vampires in the old World of Darkness, or core World of Darkness, or whatever the hell they're calling it now. And one of the things that they have going for them, amongst that, as well as their magical power obviously, is that they're able to craft vampiric servitors known as gargoyles. Huge vampiric creatures, stony skin, big wings, the works, and they use them as mindless guardians and sentinels. Now, in the game that I'm talking about, I'd had a friend of mine, ask if he could play one of these gargoyles. Now, normally I wouldn't really allow a Tremere gargoyle in a game, because they tend to be a mindless sort of yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir sort of servitor. However, we worked our way into the background for him to have a little bit more independence, and because the entire game had a Tremere slant, I didn't really see the harm in it. Now, a few sessions in, we found ourselves in a combat situation where the Tremere vampires were struggling against an enemy, and the gargoyle decided to, the best way to do max damage was to fly high up into the sky and effectively dive bomb the enemy, hopefully adding to his attack, and with his supernatural potence and various other abilities, he would put the final nail in their antagonist's coffin and save his Tremere masters. Now, at the time, since we were in mid-flow of a game, I didn't really want to spend ages combing through the rules looking to see if there were any particular dive bomb mechanics. So what I said was that he'd fly up into the air, which would take a round. In the next round, he'd plummet down to earth, and he would have to make his attack roll. Now, I said that if he hit, he would get bonuses to damage based on the height and the descent. However, if he missed, he would effectively hit the ground, drilling himself in like a tent pole, and would take some damage himself, which didn't seem entirely unreasonable at the time. And I thought the chances were fairly slim due to his massive combat abilities. However, as is often the case in this sort of game, we must have had half a dozen incidents where the gargoyle attempted to fly up and dive bomb down, only to miss and to drill himself into the ground and spend the rest of the combat digging himself out from under concrete and rubble. In fact, it became a bit of an in-joke amongst the players of the game that as soon as they got into a combat, they'd have about one round of the gargoyle being any use, and then after that he'd be mostly underground. So that was a fairly amusing, I suppose, misinterpretation of a rule, and it certainly sticks in my mind and was the first thing that leapt to the forefront of my brain when I was looking at this question. So my answer to question 21, funniest misinterpretation of a rule in your group, would be the dive bombing gargoyle inevitably drilling himself into the ground like a tent peg on many a combat, and thus negating a fair amount of his usefulness as a combat functionary. So I hope I'll see you tomorrow for question 22. Take care and happy gaming.